Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Today is January 22nd, Andy. We're on season 5, episode number 12. Tonight's a sports only edition. All we're going to talk about is sports, mainly football, right?
Got some football, got some college,
Got some
things,
hockey.
some high school things. First of all, on this date in 1998, Minnesota announced to the NHL that we would name our team the Wild on this day in 1998.
So that's the anniversary. It's the old, one of the rare nicknames without an S.
Drives me nuts. Can't stand it.
It's like the Orlando Magic.
The Utah Jazz.
There was only 4 at one point.
Yes.
Now I think there's a lot more.
Yes.
The Thunder.
Yep.
But yeah, it named the Wild. So be that as it may. So Andy, the NFL divisional games are done. The divisional playoff games is what Dennis Green called the tournament. We're in the middle of the tournament right now. Football tournament.
Denny Green.
Games coming up. There's 4 teams remaining, Andy, and 2 of the teams are owned. The franchise, that is, they're owned by women owners of the last 4 teams. Both the Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs, Detroit Lions are women owned. The other 2 are men owned, which brings us to the question that we don't really talk about much of the NFL franchises. How many are women owned? How many out there are owned by women? We know there's 2, but we'll get to the answer at the end of the episode. But how many others are out there? I don't think it gets talked about enough. I didn't know it myself, but what's the current number of female-owned teams, majority-owned football teams in the NFL are female? So we'll get to the answer at the end, but let's crank it on up to some sports, and we'll see what we've got.
Bring up my stuff here. I was doing some research today.
Look at this.
There's the computers, the Shadow Studios right there. I was doing some work.
You were on the dial-up modem?
Yes. So that's why I couldn't take any phone calls today. I'm sorry.
Nice. Perfect.
Going to bring up the fact, you've probably seen the videos yourselves. I'm not going to replay them here because of copyright reasons. We don't have the funds for it. And our free lawyer, our court-appointed attorney said we shouldn't try playing it anyway. The end of the Ohio State women's basketball game.
Okay.
Ohio State wins in overtime. Congratulations to Ohio State. They stormed the court.
Okay.
As they did it, a student, 100% unintentionally, in my opinion, knocks over Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
First of all, when that happened, I heard all of Iowa go,
a collective sigh.
Yes, because that would be watch that be the one that puts a knee out or something like that. Something silly. Caitlin had a thing in the presser afterwards. Oh no, their AD apologized. People helped me off. It was a little scary for a second. Even coach for Iowa afterwards, like, we can't do this. We got to do better than this. Timeout. Yes, you 2 said it, and I agree with what you said. It's kind of silly they stormed the court. When you guys win the Big Ten title this year, or if you win it and your fans storm the court, enjoy the crow you're going to eat afterwards. It's just what's done in sport.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of it, but, here's my opinion on it now. We see it happening. It took one of the big ones to get knocked down. Make that visitor bench a little closer to the tunnel so they can get out. Or you know what? I don't want to say like a screen behind them like in hockey, but have something where as that's happening, the losing team, the road team, just sit at your bench for a while and get some security around them. Let everybody hit the court, and then they can be kind of like tunneled out through the crowd out. Yeah, you don't want to see their team celebrate you just lost, especially overtime. And odds are it's an upset because you're a higher-ranked team. But you got to do something to get these players get off the court. Safety first. God, that sounds like an old man, but safety first. Got to get these people off and let them do their thing. So that's soapbox is kind of my editorial.
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario because typically the rushing the stage, rushing the court, rushing the field, whatever it is typically a spontaneous thing that isn't planned. You know, the teams aren't ready for it. That the players are not saying, okay, this is what's going to happen after the game. We should really stay to our benches to ourselves. It all happens all in the moment. And I think that is the case. So I don't know if there's anything to do or not. Now, the fact that if you see the video, the girl went running kind of right into and knocked the wind out of Caitlin Clark, of all people.
Pure accident.
There's a big mob of people over here. Caitlin Clark's over here, and she drills her. Obviously, I believe unintentional.
Yep.
But of course, it's going to look goofy. But she did get the wind knocked out of her. Now, to your point, they win the Big Ten. You've used up that card. You cannot do that again. You're really going to get laughed at then, because the whole point of rushing the court or the football field and tearing down the goalposts after a big win is the one-time thing. You don't see it happening week after week after week.
How many times has Iowa and Minnesota done it in their own games all the time?
Yes. So it's bound to happen. It's spontaneous. It's so random that of all people that she got the wind knocked out of her, but very strange. Now the AD came up and apologized. You know, that's fair enough, I think, to do that, to say, hey, you know, I'm sorry, but you're right. You make a good point. That end of the year tournament's going to be interesting, because there's going to be eating a lot of crow if anything like that happens now again, because you've blown it. So, you know, hats off, great win. Congrats to Ohio State. I got nothing against really storming the court, I guess, but you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the football. You know, fans run the field, take the goalpost down, and the football players are still out there. Am I really looking at who I could potentially be hitting, or am I going to be running out there just in the heat of the moment? You know, I don't know. I think they all just ran, and it took over. So it is what it is. But it's very strange that of all things, it's the randomness of Caitlin Clark getting bowled over. My God.
And here's the other stat, you know, 18-6 at the game. Every road game for Iowa this year, where Caitlin Clark also has been there, sellouts, record crowds. Okay, I'm going to try not to sound like the old white boy out in the trailer park when I say this.
Grumpy old man. The
grumpy old get out of my yard type guy. But this kid people love her. She says the right things. She's not this or that. She's fun to watch. Some people say she's a ball hog, but you know what? It's kind of what people want nowadays, you know. She's selling out these arenas all over the place she goes. You can't turn them away. I don't see all the LSU players getting this attention. Reese was co-player of the year, and you don't hear her name hardly at all. It's all Caitlin Clark getting all the primetime games, which is kind of scaring me. I think I said this last week. I'll say it again. Caitlin Clark's college career now, before you lose your minds, hear me out. Reminds me of Pete Maravich, where they're going to set these unreal numbers in college and be a lot better than average in the pro. She's not going to blow away all these records when she goes pro. No. Not saying she's not going to have a great career. Just saying she's not going to rewrite the record book pro like she is in college. If you look at the names she's passed, with the exception of Brittany Griner, who she just passed for total points, because the way the women's game has grown, these other names she's passing, if you all say, oh, I remember watching her play, you all just lied to me. Okay? Women's basketball isn't that popular when these other gals set these records. Because of media and because of internet and because of us here on the show pushing her, the love Caitlin Clark's getting and the draw she's getting is blowing her up to superhero status. God bless her for it. She's doing a great thing for the game. I finally saw her commercial for State Farm Insurance the other day. Wonderful commercial. It's funny. One of the few State Farm ones I kind of liked. She's going to kind of be that way. She's not going to flood you with commercials. She's going to be on every ad you see. She'll do a couple here and there. And all the money's going to her charity or her foundation or whatever you call it nowadays. But she's going to be one to be fun to watch to see how she handles the pro career.
Yeah, it's going to be, and like you said in a previous episode, she's going to be the number one overall pick in the WNBA in the upcoming draft. I mean, that's going to be huge enough, and it's still fun to watch. But I think if that gal who ran into her, accidentally, let's say she landed wrong, she got the wind knocked out of her. Let's say she cracked her skull open on the and subsequently died. There was going to be, because of how beloved Caitlin Clark is, murder charges filed. That's what you're getting at after, is how careful you have to be with someone of that stature around. They would have gone after and filed murder charges if something random like that happened against an innocent student. That's how beloved Caitlin Clark is.
Or she'd ripped a knee and could never walk straight again.
Yes.
That poor student would have to go in witness protection somehow.
Yes, this is the status that she's at, and everyone just, I think, needs to be cognizant of that.
Yep.
It's bizarre.
Enjoy it when you can, watch her play. And I'm going to say this right now, too. The rest of that team is fun to watch, not just Caitlin.
Yeah.
So next year, these rest of these gals are going to be fun to watch. Oh, my goodness, are they fun to watch right now?
Yes, and here's this.
They're not going to be a one and done.
Look at the fans that she's drawing, or the team is drawing for a women's D1 college basketball. It's tremendous.
So let's just hope they can keep up. They got some other gals on that team that are just incredible players. Just watch that team keep growing. Soapbox time.
Yes.
Show that gets better and better, as Dan concerned.
It does.
And this is nothing against this player. It's this thing. Barry Sanders. There's a cry in Detroit right now that if Detroit makes a Super Bowl, they want the Lions to sign Barry Sanders to a one-day contract, so if the Lions win the Super Bowl, he can get a ring. I think that's crap. First of all, if the Lions better not do that, it's just kind of no. Even the fans even thinking to do that, how selfish. Barry had a great career. I don't think Barry Sanders is the one leading this charge at all.
Correct.
He's probably trying to put that fire out more than anything else. But for fans to say that, I think that's insane. I mean, I kind of put the post out there too. Okay, Viking fans, the Vikings, for some act of God, made the Super Bowl. What Viking player do you want to see get a one-day contract so he gets a ring? I mean, how can you? The whole one-day contract thing bothers me. Oh, well, we signed him for a one-day contract so he can retire. Emmett Smith at the end signed a one-day contract with Dallas to retire as a Cowboy. What, you left because you thought you still had it in the tank. You went on. That's like, oh, we dated and we're married for so many years and then we broke up, but I'm about to die. Let's get remarried so I can say I was married to you at the end. That's basically what you're saying. No, you left her. You went on. Get over yourselves and move on.
Now, for Detroit fans, and hats off if you want to show your love for Barry Sanders. Great, but you're not going to give him a ring.
Yeah.
If
you want to give him a ceremonial one afterwards, great. But
that's big games yet. I wouldn't even be thinking about that yet in the situation you're in. Not that it couldn't happen, but it's 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks out. But yeah, it's just you're promoting him, but you're giving everyone else on those teams at the same time a slap in the face. It's like saying Vikings, we're going to put Fran Tarkington in so you can get a ring, and then the complainers for Carl Eller and Alan Page aren't going to like it, or Scott
Kramer.
You're going to get all the fans coming after you from the ones that you didn't mention. So
Gary Anderson. No, wait.
The fact of the matter is, Barry Sanders never won a Super Bowl. Fact. He never did. So
if you want to give him a ceremonial one like you would for the mailroom guy, fine. But don't sign to a one-day contract to get one.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point. Barry, tremendous running back, but this doesn't need to be clouding his career.
And another soapbox.
Yes.
And this was just the one just put on today. Anthony Rendon. He thinks baseball season is too long, they should shorten it. So one of his former teammates says this guy said he literally, Jonathan Papelbon says Rendon after he shortened season. Players Rendon who literally hates baseball. Yeah, it's long. It isn't what I signed up for. Then he goes, just tell the team that if you want to play half the season, give half your money back. Rendon's been saying that in the 3 years he's played, last 3 seasons, hasn't played more than 58 games in each of the last 3 years. But the season's too long. You know what? Fine. I am paying you your contract. You're cut. You're out. I don't need your cancer in my locker room.
It's true.
You are just done. No one's going to want your cancer in the locker room anymore. Now, if you want to say, hey, start the season earlier so we can end earlier, I'll give you that one because there's a lot of guys saying that. Oh, it's too long. Oh, this job's too much. Then quit.
Well,
don't ask for more money. Quit that.
Paul Stanley was from KISS always had a good line to say, look, we got our dreams came true. We got what we wanted. Now is not the time to say, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. He said, it's like being voted the president of the U.S. and saying, you know what, I don't like to wear a tie every day. Well, that's what you get. That's what you signed up for.
You knew that when you started.
KISS said, hey, we got to put the makeup on. Is it fun? No. Is it a pain in the butt? Yes. But our dreams are coming true. This is what got us there. We have to put the makeup on.
On the 1st and the 15th, when you get that paycheck.
Now, you remember when on 93X, they'd have Vikings punter Chris Kluwe on all the time.
Yes.
And that was a man who loved to talk about anything except the NFL. He never was a fan, never really liked his job, did it because he was good at it and he was signed, but he loved to talk about gaming, other sports, books he was reading.
Yep.
In the morning show from 93X, they couldn't understand it. They said, you're not really a fan, are you? And he says, no, I'm not a fan of football. I don't even like the game. Similar to this. Now this is saying the season's too long. Well, I think the season is too long.
Not like when you started playing baseball a few years ago, it was 110 games and they increased it all of a sudden. It's been 162 for a while. Not a fan.
But it's just going to come off as if you're ungrateful is all it's going to do. And comments like that aren't needed. Now, can you think them? Yes. There's probably a lot of baseball players who think that. But they're not going to tweet it or say it in public because they're going to get ripped to shreds. Just like you said, you can't do that. You know how many people would dream to wish to be in their shoes? And now you're essentially complaining about it. You can't, not with the money you're making, you can't. But he's got a good point. Give half back. You only played in 58 games. Yep. It's a good point. It's a good discussion, I think.
Yep. Of course, after all this rain, we're gonna have some sunshine, so let's have some good news, Dan.
Well, just think of it now. Let's say you're a very profitable dairy farmer, Andy.
Yes.
And you complain that you have to get up every morning at 5 a.m. to milk the cows. That's something you just don't say. That goes without saying. Yep. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, that's if you don't like it, put the for sale sign up in the yard.
Yep. Yeah, it's very interesting. All right, now what is this here? Look at this.
The best news I got all weekend long, Dan.
All right.
Duke lost at home to Pitt.
Now, did they storm the court?
Well, no, it was at Duke.
Oh, yes.
So the
Sorry,
Pitt fans, Pitt players were kind of mocking the fans, but first time Duke losing to Pitt at Cameron for the first time in 45 years.
That is unreal.
This is the leading picture for my Christmas card this year right now.
Yes, it's just so amazing.
And you look at the Duke court, how they're right there on top of you anyway.
Yeah.
But so Duke lost. That's all I got for college basketball this week because, like we said before, what was the one stat? Was it for college? Was it the men's of the top 25? I think this is no exaggeration. Like 20 of the 25 lost a game this week.
Well, the interesting thing is this: when the calendar and the schedule comes out for these men's basketball, for instance, and you've got Duke on the calendar on the road, the typical fan is already chalking that up as a loss. It's just something you don't do. You don't go there and win, especially if you're Pitt. But this is one of those
yourself right off the bat. Yeah,
it's one of those feel-good stories because any given Sunday or whatever day of the week it was, things happen. That's why the sport is played. You never know. This is awesome. Very rare.
I think what Duke hopes for a lot of times is these teams count as an L already, so you kind of keep it in third gear.
Yes.
And they come in fifth and start roaring on you like, whoa, wait, huh?
They play these. If this game was played 10 straight times, Duke would win 9 of the, it's just the odds are this is not going to happen. But the fact of the matter is that it did. They got beat. Yes, it was an upset. Very tough, strange thing to do, but that's the reason we love sports. You never know.
Especially college basketball, men and women. Upsets all over the place.
Yes. Fun to watch.
Michelle Tafoya reporting that Travis Kelce will retire at the end of the season as priority of his life. Talked about the Kelce brothers wanting to retire together. Now, with that said, I put this poll question up yesterday before the football game started.
I saw that, yes.
Assuming Kansas City lost, was eliminated, what would be the headlines next day in the mainstream media? And according to your votes, number one would be Taylor Swift sees her last NFL game. Some said it'd be Kelce retires. Some would say the Bills win the game. One person said Mahomes would lose a friend forever. And then just because I'm a jerk, I put at the bottom, say nothing and talk about LeBron James. But speaking of LeBron James, he knows how he popped off there today going, my boy Bronny, who's at USC, he could play for the Lakers right now. Last 2 games that Bronny's played in, he's scored 0 points. So
it is interesting.
You got the KOD from the old man there, Bronny.
Yeah, it's interesting thing. And then this whole Kelce thing came up, just this last year. But he has been popular for a couple of years now. His brother for the Eagles has never been this popular name recognition until Travis came in. And then Taylor Swift comes in, and now Travis is this whole other animal now. But
they got the popularity a couple years ago when they were both in the Super Bowl against each other.
Yes.
And their mom got the thing. And the brother, if you ask me, is actually the better player. He's a center, very good center. He had a record for consecutive games as a center, which is almost impossible to do. It came in one game. He had a broken hand. He got in a snap just to keep the streak alive, which kind of bothers me to do that. But man,
and those guys both are tremendous, and maybe they do retire in the same year. Maybe for rare as something like that could happen. It could. Now, every other commercial you see on TV has Travis Kelce in it, so he's already making oodles.
Well, his brother does do the one laundry commercial. He's in the top of the laundry pile.
Yes, that's right.
And the two of them do have their own podcast.
They do plenty. Travis is making plenty enough money on the side with that stuff and the whole Taylor Swift thing. But you're right. The comment is what you're getting at here is what would be the lead paper news story headline. Regardless, it would be either Taylor or Travis's name would be in that headline. You wouldn't see the Bills or not even in your thing here. Patrick Mahomes not even mentioned. It would not be that. It would be spun with Kelce or Swift or both of them in the thing. And that's the sad state of affairs we're in.
I had a tough time watching the game because I couldn't stand watching their booth all the time.
Well, it's hard to watch. And I was a Chiefs fan for a while, but it's getting so absurd is the word. Now, if he wants to retire, I don't care. Now, is that the leading story? There's other big names going to be retiring here at the end of the season. I'm sure that Travis Kelce should not be taking up the headlines if he does decide to do that. But boy, oh boy, it's they're going to spin it some way. Their names will be on the headline, whatever happens. But 2 more games to go. We'll see.
Hopefully one for him. Hey, all right.
Yeah, so if they lose, it's done, so we'll get that announcement sooner than later. But boy, interesting.
Here we go, more stuff. A little bit of the NSIC, as we call it. Men's basketball standings: Minnesota State 11-1, Moorhead 11-1, both 17-1 overall. There's the Beavs in the middle of the pack, 6-6 in conference, 10-8 overall. This is your Northern Sun men's basketball. This is, as you can see, Northern Minnesota and the Dakotas and schools around the ring there. Bemidji State holding their own, 6-6, 10-8 overall. But Minnesota State, or as you and I called it back in the day, Dan, Mankato State.
Yes.
And MSU Moorhead, or Moorhead State, as the missus went to when it was Moorhead State.
Yes.
So there's your tops there. The gals standings, again, Minnesota State, Northern State. The Beavs are holding on the bottom at 0-12, 3-13 overall for the gals up there at Bemidji. But like we said last week, we had Beer Belly Sports on. They're fun to watch.
True.
So there you go. If you're into just a good college basketball, those areas, catch these teams out. Here you go. And now hockey from that area. Hockey is not really associated with the conferences like that because it's all these other schools combined. St. Thomas leading the CCHA with the Beavs second.
Wow.
And I see down there it says there'll be a full member 25-26 is Augustana, the Augustana Vikings. I just saw some stuff on Facebook and I've shared it. So if you have to go back and look at it or look on your own, they have built a beautiful brand new hockey arena there for them to play in. So good luck for those of you in South Dakota. You got a nice little arena to go and see how they do coming up. No conference points. 7, 12, and 3 overall for them, though. There's St. Thomas, and then the Beavs, and then Mankato State, Lake Superior State Lakers, etc., etc.
A lot of parity there. A lot of similar records.
Now, we got games played. St. Thomas and Bemidji each have 16, 14 for Mankato, for Mankato. So, of course, you don't see those two playing. Minnesota State is. Beavs have the weekend off. The Tommies have an exhibition game on Saturday. So here's your weekend schedule for hockey, as we say in the state. High school boys. Now, before we go on, I do a little disclaimer here. Now, I know a lot of you, we have a lot of stalkers out there, so you know more about Dan and I than we care to share. I am an Minnetonka alumni. Dan is from Jordan, alumni. So, do we mention our schools a lot? Probably. But sometimes we just can't help it because they're in the top of the rankings. We just report the news. We don't make it up. It's not CNN. We don't make it up. Boys hockey. 2A, Minnetonka leading right now as of the seedings on the 17th. They are first, Wayzata second, Edina third, Chan fourth. I don't make this stuff up. I just report it. 2A, shocking, War Road and Hermantown 1-2. Delano 8th, Monticello 9th. Let's Play Hockey's stats for the girls hockey. Tonka first, Andover, Hillbury, Edina, Northfield, Benilde, Moorhead, Lakeville North, Centennial, and Lakeville South. And you see their sections there. A girls, or a girl, I guess. I don't know how English grammar, I don't know. Academy of Holy Angels is first, Orono second. See Crookston 8th. Let's hear it for Crookston.
Wow.
Mount Wastaka 7th. They're always kind of right in there lately, in the mix of it all. Boys basketball, again, just reporting the news. This is from Pacesetter Newsletter, Minnesota Basketball News from the 17th. 4A, Wayzata first, Park Center second, Minnetonka third, Farmington fourth. Waconia 10th. 3A, Tino Grace, Mankato East, and Delano. 2A is Breck, Minneapolis North, Lake City. Class 1A, Cherry, Dawson Boyd, Sleepy Eye at 11-1 comes in third. Fertile Beltrami 10-1 fourth. So there you go. Minnesota Basketball News from Pacesetter Newsletter. You can find them online. That's where we got it from. And here's their gals standings. Oops. 4A, Minnetonka 1, St. Michael Albertville 2, Hopkins 3, Eden Prairie 6th. 3A, De La Salle, Benilde St. Margaret, and Delano at 14-0 is third. So it shows you how tough conference play has been for Benilde St. Margaret is 8-5 and they're second. So it shows you the schedule they've had. 2A, Providence, Minnehaha, and Albany. Jordan is 6th for 2A girls. Or 2A girls, I don't know. And Class 1, Mount Honor Bowls dropped to second. Stop the presses.
Wow.
Goodhue first, Mount Honor. Sleepy Eye 5th, and our friends at Mayor Lutheran 9th. A couple more sports notes here on my pad there. Jeff McNeil of the Mets recently won the Celebrity Golf Tournament over the weekend in Florida. He competed against the likes of Annika Sorenstein, John Smoltz, Brian Urlacher, Albert Pujols, Victor Cruz, and more. Now, I bring this up for two reasons. Jeff McNeil's a Met, so of course I'm going to bring it up.
Yes.
John Smoltz in the last month or so got his PGA card. He qualified to golf PGA tournaments.
Wow.
So this wasn't just a bunch of guys that, hey, let's go have a tournament, slap ourselves on the back, we'll chip it by a pretty trophy and tell everybody how great we are. So these weren't a bunch of weekend hackers out there. Smoltz takes it very seriously. Urlacher, I know, takes it seriously. Pujols takes everything seriously, and so does McNeil. So this wasn't just, like I said, you and I going out there and playing darts at the bar and going, I'm the Dart League champion, or you're the Dart League champion.
Yes.
You know. So congrats. So I got a little Mets news in today after all. Just wanted to make that point there. And one more thing I want to bring up here. I don't have a slide for it, so just have to look at my pretty face for a while. Football quarterbacks. I've watched these playoffs, and some people give them love, some don't. They make all the money on the team. They get all the blame. They get all the credit. And I was watching Allen for the Bills play this weekend.
Josh Allen, yep.
Lamar Jackson, all these quarterbacks. These guys are running. Yeah, they slide most of the time, but they're getting pasted. And when they run and slide for 10 yards, he's not jogging. They're hoofing it down the middle. And you know what? They're back in that huddle for the next play. How many times do you see a running back go down 15 yards, he's got to go out for air. He's got to sit and rest. A receiver runs a couple routes deep, but they get the ball, he's got to go rest. Linemen are changing all the time on defense, not offensive linemen. Defensive linemen are changing all the time. So not only the quarterback, but the offensive line, I think. Offensive line gets no credit for being athletes to start with. Right there. I think they are. I don't care how fat and out of shape and softball league looking they look. They're in there every play. Defensive lineman guys get to change. The quarterback don't get to change. O-line guys don't get to change. Oh, we got to put in this defense. It's a third and long, or it's a third and short, or it's a this play or that play. You can put in 11 different guys. On offense, you got those same 5 linemen and the same quarterback in every play. So not that I didn't have respect for him before, but I was really kind of noting that this weekend because I was trying not to throw up every time they threw Taylor Swift on the screen or they mentioned her or something like that. So I was really kind of noting that it's like, as well as obvious, and it's like, yeah, you're right. They don't change offensive linemen. You know, you don't think about it. We've accepted it. So I really thought that's where you don't see the respect is for those guys.
Yeah, they're running and hoofing around, and even on plays where they're scrambling, that's every single play when they're out there doing that, other than handing the ball off. But they're getting hit, and the hurry ups and the sacks. And the knockdowns, and then, like you said, the rip off a 30-yard, 40-yard, 50-yard run. Now you're back in there. Or
even if you threw the ball 50 yards, you got to run and beat feet down there because these defensive guys are switching out with somebody else fresh coming in. My quarterback threw 50 yards. I'm a 350-pound lineman. I got to race my ass down there, catch my breath, and block for the next running back who's going to come through on the next play. Or I'm sitting there not going spike it the way down so I can catch a breath. So those guys don't get the love. And also the kickers. Poor SOB for the Bills that shanked it.
Yes.
But you know what? Everybody laughs at the kickers and punters. Who's usually your second highest scorer in fantasy football every week? Your kicker. You know, a lot of these guys don't get the credit. The punter is the holder. He gets zero credit. Now, I've never heard any blame on the laces were wrong or the bad snap. The whole Gary Anderson excuses things. When you see that kick, it was almost like a video game. It just boom, just took off. Kicker is taking full blame for that. He goes, that's on me. He's not blaming anybody else. He's manning up for it. And because of the fans being fans, he's had to delete all of his social media stuff. Now, let's just relax a little bit. I'm pretty sure he has one account under the name Mickey Mouse for his family and his kids' pictures. He's not totally off social media. But as far as what we know him as, he's off social media right now. And do you blame him? No, but it's kind of sad people have to send him death threats for missing a field goal. Show the picture of that one guy crying because he missed a field goal.
Well, you know,
I'm
we
not
saw.
saying I'm a man, I don't cry, but you know what? Cried when my kids were born. Cried a couple weeks ago when I had my cat put to sleep. Cried for those. You know what? Yep. When the Mets lost in 2015, did I cry? No. Did I put my fist through a wall? Maybe, but I
Maybe.
didn't cry. I did not cry. It's a
Well,
game. Get
we
over it.
saw one thing I did see, Andy, was actually very funny, but it's if you ever watch the highlight reels of people captured on uh, video breaking their TV set
Yep.
head first in the TV set, ripping it off the wall, and someone in the corners filming it. They're actually watching an NFL game, and they're so frustrated that they go off the hook. There's whole compilation videos of anger for people watching NFL football. This is an NFL, this is a game.
I've thrown a pillow across the room before, yeah, but I'm not going to break my
Oh
TV.
my God, the people there are people that go off the hook, and it's amazing. Now, going back to Gary Anderson, you know that was just the anniversary. Was it 25 years of
Yeah.
him missing that field goal in 1998 after putting up the most successful season ever as an NFL kicker in history?
But there were
Now,
still 2
imagine
minutes
if
to go in that
social
game.
media was around in 98,
Yeah.
he would have had to do the same thing because death threats would have been coming in. Gary Anderson had the fantastic year, record-breaking year in 1998, and the one thing that fans remember is him missing a field goal.
And there was still 2 minutes to go. If he made it, Atlanta still could have came down.
Yeah.
Now,
But that's it. That's how fans are quirky that way. They're just
I do have to retract what I just said now that I think about it.
you did cry.
No. Football, Patriots, Seahawks. The pass at the goal line where the guy intercepted it, where the Seahawks. I was watching a game like this. I saw the interception and I ripped my sweatshirt right in half.
Nice.
That's the most violent thing I've ever done. But throwing a pillow.
There's compilations on just the flat screen televisions, people attacking it and breaking it, putting their fists through a TV because of a
I want to
football.
know how many of those are staged though. Hey, we found this cheap
Well, that's
TV
fair enough. You know,
at
it
the
could be an
garage
old
sale for
TV they're going to
$10.
get rid of anyway. Hey, let's make a viral video of this. But
And the other one I saw,
unbelievable.
I'm pretty sure the guys were watching it back on their TiVo or whatever you kids have nowadays. It showed these guys with the guy has big screen TV up, and the guy from Buffalo's lined up for the field goal. The guy's off to the side TV with a fan and turned the fan on, so that the fan blew the. Okay, that was funny, haha. But there's no way you did that in real time.
Yeah,
I find that hard to believe.
But
if you did, hats off to you. But I don't believe it.
A tough way to lose, but Bills are at home. Finally got that home game. Always playing the divisional game on the road in Kansas City. You know that Patrick Mahomes had never played a road game in the playoffs, other than a Super Bowl or a neutral site, or at home. He had never even experienced playing on the road. So now the Bills finally get it. They couldn't quite put it together to win the game. Hats off, but certainly wasn't the kicker's fault. But boy,
the other stat I saw is Sunday will be Patrick Mahomes' 17th playoff game in his career. The Arizona Cardinals have not had 17 playoff games in their career.
Well, I was talking with someone this weekend that the records and some of these guys are putting together. Most people would love to even make the playoffs and to play some road games. And Patrick Mahomes had never played a road game. And he'd been to the AFC Championship game. Now it'll be six straight years. The Vikings, I mean, just imagine the Viking fans are mad because they lost 4 Super Bowls. Imagine going 6 straight times to the title game.
Yeah.
That is success right there. But
that's like the Braves in the 90s. I think people just get complacent with it.
Well, think of the Cowboys right now, the successful season they had and all the back-to-back successful seasons they've had recently. And because they lose the first game of the playoffs, the fans are calling for the manager, the general manager, the coach. They're calling for their heads. This is what football has come to. Every year you're in the playoffs. It reminds me of the old Denny Green. I was a big Denny Green fan. You go to the playoffs every year with Denny Green as coach. They ride him until he's finally gone, and then they complain, then they never make the playoffs anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you had a genius coach, very good coach. Every year would get you into the postseason. Very good. And now you ride him. He finally leaves. You get someone else in there. We can't win. It's having a tough time even getting to 500. So
It's like the Jerry Burns.
Pastures are not always greener on the other side. Look at what you've got and then decide.
It's like the Jerry Burns quote. That ain't Bob Schulker's fault. His shoe fell off. That ain't Bob Schulker's fault.
Oh, some of the great
Burnsy was great
and to keep in mind,
was a great coach. I loved watching Burnsy's post game stuff. But
Burnsy had some good ones, some good stuff. But
Coach Burnsy.
Yeah, hats off to Dallas. Another successful season. They didn't do well in the playoffs, but that's what you get. You never know what you're going to get.
At least they made the playoffs. At least the Packers made the playoffs.
You're making the playoffs. You're going in as a high seed. You went undefeated at home. I mean, look at all the good things the Cowboys did this season. But Dak Prescott's name was mentioned in MVP talks, and now the fans hate his guts. That we want Dak Prescott out of here because he sucks. He can't do it in the playoffs. Are you kidding me? He's a candidate for the MVP this year. What more do you want?
Okay, if you want to get rid of him, we'll give you our third round pick for him, no problem. How many teams are saying that right now?
So it's so bizarre. But we got to sit back and laugh sometimes. Now, not talking about laughing, but I got one final note here on the UFL.
UFL, yes.
The final dispersal drafts were done. We're combining the XFL, the USFL. They've had round 1 of the dispersal drafts. Round 2, now they've had some free agent drafts for anyone else that's in the mix. What they're finding is that as those teams' rosters are filling up, they got to get to 75 guys in roster by middle of February. Guess who's picking up all the low-hanging fruit now is the CFL. The Canadian Football League is getting a lot of signings from guys that aren't being picked up to make it there. They're getting kind of a windfall from these extra teams that have been essentially folded or shut down. So the CFL is benefiting. Not by getting big names. Those guys that ship has already sailed. But quality players are hanging out there that they're being able now to jump over because there's only 8 teams in this UFL. There were 16 teams total. You've cut that in half. There's a lot of extra guys out there. So the CFL is picking up some of these extra players here. They'll be reporting to camp with the first game March 30th. You've been seeing some ads in the NFL. I know they've been placing some ads coming up with the NASCAR race, the Clash is coming up in February. NASCAR, and then you got this March 30th UFL opens up. Now, how successful it will be, I don't know, but we will provide coverage here on the show.
We're your UFL leader in Carver County.
All of Western Carver County will get UFL.
One more NFL thing: Zach Ertz signed today with a team. I can't remember which team because he needed a tight end. Okay, wait. You got how many guys in the NFL on your roster and you don't have a backup tight end? You could all sports they sign a guy in the playoffs. No, I think that's wrong. Playoffs are set. You dance with who you brought. You get a guy hurt. That's tough titty, said the kitty.
Yeah, I agree.
That's players in all sports.
That's the thing. The whole point of this is that your roster should lock in and you go with what you've got. I don't care if it's a second, third string guy left. That's your team.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you danced through your brought. So he did.
And tight ends. Teams have 3, 4, 5 tight ends on the roster. They've got tight ends out there, but are they blocking? Are they pass catching? What are they? It's interesting, but that's a topic of discussion for another day. So that's all that I've got. Anything else, Andy?
Celebrating my raise this week. I got some Miller High Life, the champagne.
Well, you have the champagne. I see that.
Got a little raise this week at work, so I went second to the bottom shelf.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Trivia answer.
Of the 4 teams remaining in the NFL playoffs, 2 are women-owned teams. The Detroit Lions are owned by a female. Also, the Kansas City Chiefs, of course, owned by a female, an heir to the Hunt family. Yep. So 2 of the 4. Now, how many total?
5.
Your guess is 5 out of the teams of the NFL, 32 teams in the NFL have female coaches. The answer is 4. 4. So we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, Rooney.
Yep,
that's
Rooney family.
Female. And then I think it's the Chicago Bears is the other one. So there's 4 NFL teams out of 32 that are owned by women. They're all in their 80s and 90s. So very rare thing. We had Marge Schott, Reds for baseball for years, many years. But we'll probably be seeing some of this on the upcoming preview show for the championship games on Sunday. May get more shots in the press box, the owner's suite there of the owners, the elderly ladies. So hats off.
Just remember, you heard it here first when I talk about it. Will we get credit for it? No.
Of course not.
Do we want credit? No.
We're just here to educate. That's all.
Yeah. We'll sleep good knowing we told you first. We don't need the accolades. We're fine.
Awesome. Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.